What a week on the education front. On Tuesday, the San Diego City School Chief Financial Officer resigned after just over a year on the job, and there's still no replacement for the resigned superintendent. And on Wednesday, UCSD announced its admissions numbers for the fall quarter, and they look somewhat better than last year's. KPBS education reporter Anna Tintocalis sorts out the news for us. Okay, so first of all, Anna, what are some of the reasons that might have contributed to James Macias' decision to resign from the city schools?
Well, it's hard to get to exactly why, because it's a personnel matter, and that's very difficult to get the details of his resignation. But he was placed on paid administrative leave about 2 weeks ago, and that's when speculation started to spread. Was he not getting along with the school board? Did the school board not like his work? But school officials said that this has nothing to do with Macias' financial analysis, the credit of his numbers, or his performance as the CFO. But they hinted around that there has been tremendous stress and pressure placed on Macias and his finance team because of several years of very deep budget cuts and the school board's demands to overhaul its own budgeting process. And so the question is, did Macias crack under that stress? Was he exhausted, mentally fatigued, he couldn't do it anymore? Or was it that there was a lot of tensions that flared within the financial office? Those are things we haven't been able to really get to, but for the most part, school officials have hinted that that might have been the reasons.
Well, here's a copy of the agreement between James Macias and the school district, and what it says is that he will serve on special assignment to the superintendent, I guess, through the end of June.
Correct.
And this is the other interesting part, that during this period he can work or consult for compensation with other entities or individually. So, you know, he may be overworked, but he can take on another job while he continues to work for the district.
It's quite a deal. He was making about $155,000 as CFO, and he will continue making that salary until he's let go or officially resigns in June. He won't be working in the central office. He'll be working on what is called special projects for the district, but those have not been identified. So it's interesting what exactly he will be doing during his time off.
So what kind of a challenge does this present to the school board? They still don't have a superintendent in place. They're still kind of figuring out what they want in a superintendent, and now they're losing their chief financial officer.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is this public perception that San Diego Unified has that it can't hold on to its top-ranking officials. And when it comes to the CFO, it's a very important position, as it is in any company. It's even more important in the public school district because you're dealing with taxpayer dollars. And the fact that he is now gone means that there might be a flow problem in terms of there's not going to be the quick turnaround in scrubbing the numbers and turning out more financial analysis, and it provides even more pressure for the finance team that does exist.
Before I let you go, Anna, this week UC San Diego released its admissions data for the fall quarter. How has apparently they look better. What about the numbers for minority students?
Well, it was a bit of good news for UCSD because they've been dealing with this this fallout from earlier this year, that there was a series of racially inflammatory incidents directed at black students. So they've really pledged and have agreed to step up their efforts to admit more minority students. And so there was a 7% increase in the number of admissions that they've put out there for certain minority groups, Black, Latinos, and Native Americans. The challenge for UCSD is to get those students to accept their admissions offer, and the university has always had a tough time doing that. So, and critics say, well, it's because it's not a friendly campus to these certain minority groups. So we'll see how that translates later in the fall.